Hi, I'm Darcy.
And I'm Kelly. And thanks for joining us for
And Another Thing,
where we talk about current events,
pop culture,
things we love,
things we don't,
all slathered in gobs of laughter.
and all the feels.
So grab a drink, a big one, sit back and join us for
And Another Thing. We forgot to name it again.
Well, we got stuff to talk about.
Stuff to talk about.
Hey, Thingies, how
Hi,
are
Thingies.
you?
Hello.
We had
Happy
a lot on our-
October.
It is October. It's spooky season.
I know. But where did this year go?
I don't know.
If 2020 was the longest ever, 2021 is the fastest ever, I think.
Yeah, and I was just looking, I was something about my birthday, and I'm like, oh, it's 3 months away. What?
Yeah.
January is 3 months away, people.
Yeah, weird.
Anyway, so all things happen in October. I love
Yes.
October, so yay.
Bring on the holiday.
Yes. So we got a lot to talk about, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, I don't know if any of you have caught this. We both did in the last 24 hours. Britney versus Spears, a new documentary on Netflix. We've been following, if you watch our show, the whole Britney thing. I didn't know how long this is. I mean, I know how long the conservatorship has been going on, but I didn't know how long she's been trying to petition the court.
Right.
Since
I thought for
2009.
years she was just okay with it.
Me too.
For a long
or
time.
that she didn't, yeah.
Yeah.
Since 2009, she's been trying to petition the court to...
Yeah. It's some parts of that, I was saying to you earlier when you got here, just I got sick to my stomach over some parts of it, just what she is dealing with. The fact that, like, they have to drive her out to the middle of nowhere
So she
to
could drive.
allow her to drive her own car for a half an hour.
Yeah, and like somebody who was being interviewed for the documentary was saying, if 30 people have to arrange for you to have a half an hour of freedom, what does that say?
This girl is literally in prison.
She
is enslaved.
Yeah, and for sure, and good for her for stopping working, because they had her working so hard and drugging her. It's like the old-timey with Judy Garland, how they used to drug her.
And it's like giving her stimulants while she's on tour, but then taking her off of them when she's not. And I'm like, how does this poor girl I mean, like...
And drug testing, and meanwhile the father's a raging alcoholic and scaring her kids. They had to get nobody heard about that they had to get a warrant for him not to see the kids. I never heard about that in the
I never
news.
heard about that either. And the whole big lie about her taking time off to care for her ailing dad when she was actually forced into a rehab against her will instead.
And this was the biggest thing. And another thing.
And
This was the
another
big
thing.
They got a geriatric psychiatrist to say she had dementia so they could forego the 5-day waiting period when you have a conservatorship that the conservatee has 5 days to reply.
Which is insane. 5 days is
It's
nothing.
nothing
When you're trying to find a lawyer. And I mean, are you kidding me? 5 days?
But they bypassed the 5 days because they got a shrink to say that she's got dementia and she can't possibly,
Which
speak
is
for
insane.
herself.
I mean, this whole thing is so insane. Conservatorships, as far as I'm concerned, the more I learn about them, the more I'm like, these shouldn't be allowed.
No, and it even says it's probate. It should be for somebody who is literally on their deathbed and cannot do anything for
Can't
themselves.
feed themselves, can't wipe their own butt, can't, this
She
is
had
not.
to call ahead of time to get permission to go to a restaurant, to get money to feed her kids.
Yup.
The father was taking like $18,000 a month and giving her $8 to like run her whole whatever.
$8,000 a month.
$8,000,
Not like
yeah.
$8.
No.
But
If she swept the porch, she got $10.50. It's not even funny to joke about. But
I know.
meanwhile, she's the one making all the money. And then they kept saying that she wasn't fit, and yet she went on tour and recorded her best album and did what did they say, How I Met Your Mother episode. She was on that. Ugh.
Yeah, and then one thing that really struck me was that 1 year, I believe it was during her Vegas residency, she made a total of $34 million that year, but her net worth the same year was like 50 something million.
Right, because
where is all
that's
that
how
money
much
going?
money they were
That's how much
bleeding
they're wasting
from the conservatorship. Ugh. Anyway, watch the documentary.
Yeah, it's really good.
Comment below.
There's also a shorter one by the New York Times on Hulu called Controlling Britney, and that has some more in-depth interviews with like her assistant, the real Southern one, the real sweet one.
And on this one, she didn't want to talk. She's like, I can't say any
on this
more
one,
about
she's like,
that.
I'm not
I
gonna
don't
say
want
more
to
about
fight them.
But she talks
Oh,
on the
good.
short one,
Okay.
and then also her wardrobe girl talks as well, and they both get choked up talking about it. How just the thing that kept getting me over and over and over again and watching these things is how lonely this girl must be. I think the only reason she probably hasn't killed herself is because she's never by herself.
Right.
Having any time for herself, making any decisions for herself. She is constantly monitored. Otherwise, I think she'd have killed
And everybody
herself.
kept saying how she only has boyfriends, like her manager became her boyfriend, a paparazzo became her boyfriend. She's never anywhere to meet
Those are
anybody
the
else.
only people that she's around. And then when they decide they don't approve of them anymore, they remove them. The photographer that became her friend,
Adnan.
he said, and then I was removed. Just removed.
It's
and never
in
to
this-
speak to her again.
in
This
this
poor
day and
girl's
age.
loneliness.
and she just was just trying to find somebody she could trust.
Mhm.
Because if you can't trust your own father, I mean,
or any of your family.
any of your,
She's
it's
going at
just-
it with her own sister.
I know, yeah.
And I'm like, I can't imagine there is no world I can imagine in which my sisters wouldn't have my back.
Right,
you know?
right.
And so I just can't.
And that's one of the things that Adnan, her boyfriend, paparazzi guy, he was very close to his family, and he kept saying, "Why can't you just sit down with your dad and talk?" And she's
Right.
like, "You don't understand. I can't. He's after me." Anyway, it's freaking heartbreaking in this day and age that
really
she
is.
has to fight to get her life back. But
And it's all patriarchy
it totally
all
is.
day. It is such a blatant, glaring example of the systemic misogyny in our society.
Yep.
It really truly is.
Yeah, and at one point, one of the documentary filmmakers was very close to Britney. She used to write for Rolling Stone, and she breaks down talking about it. But she says right away, she's like, "That's the patriarchy." I mean, she even says it out. I mean, anyway, heartbreaking. But hopefully, this may be the beginning of the end for Britney. I mean, the beginning of her future.
Her new. She has an attorney of her choice now, and this guy seems to be like, "Oh hell no!" Like it sounds like he's gunning for Jamie Spears, and I am here for it.
Me too.
I am 100% here for it. I have never been a fan of Britney's music. I've never been able to appreciate how little she wore, and I have always been really her over sexualization and stuff
Well,
like that.
that's a whole other thing too.
Yeah.
How much of that was her, and how much of that was them?
She designs all on the shorter documentary Controlling Britney. She designs all her own, helps design all her own costumes. But at this point, at this age, she can do whatever the hell she wants, wear what she wants. But when she was younger, it was like I was a little concerned with that. And then this family calls themselves Christians, and I'm like, yeah, in my Christian
But
household,
you're pimping
growing
out your
up,
daughter.
you don't flaunt yourself at 14 wearing things. You just don't.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's another.
I know,
show.
we could do a whole
We
thing
could go
on this,
on and
but-
on about Britney.
But
anyway.
watch the documentary. I didn't see the Hulu because I'm having Hulu problems. If anybody's a Hulu expert, please DM me.
It's crazy.
Okay, so Britney, we are praying for
Yes.
you, girl.
Hashtag Free Britney. Yes.
Oh,
All right. Tell us
okay.
what you think.
yes.
What do you
please.
think about this whole thing? Are you like, I don't care, or are you like, are you with us?
And I actually,
against us?
I'm more of a fan than you are. She's like a guilty pleasure. And especially when I watched this and saw her dancing and stuff. Anyway, we got to stop on the Britney because we have other stuff to talk
Yes.
about. So what else do we have on our list? Oh, Ellen Pompeo v. Denzel Washington.
Oh yes. Sorry, just something flew in my eyeball, and now I've got the. Of course.
My grandmother
of course.
used to say, pull it out and spit 3 times and it'll come out. It's an old Jewish
I
thing.
don't even know what that means.
It's an old Jewish wives' tale. You pull your eyelid out and spit 3 times, poo, 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 and it should come out.
Okay.
It's always worked for me. Thank you, Grandma.
I heard pull your top eyelid over your bottom eyelid. It makes
Probably
your
does the
eye
same
water,
thing, yeah.
flushes it out.
But not when you have hair and makeup done.
Right. This is a lot, and we're not touching it. I will suffer because beauty is pain.
Bad enough that the sweat's gonna. Okay, so
Right.
have you heard this?
Okay, so here's what happened. What happened was, so Ellen Pompeo in some interview with maybe Variety or Vogue or something like that was talking about, oh, I've got this funny story one day. I just really went at it with Denzel. Denzel was asked to come in and direct an episode of Grey's Anatomy. Now, if anybody's been watching Grey's Anatomy for all these years, you know it's Ellen Pompeo's show.
It's right in the title.
It's in the title of her character. She leaves the show, there is no show. So over the years, she executive produces it. She has a lot of decision-making power. Shonda Rhimes, let me add, a black woman who is the show's creator and whatever, yep, and has a gazillion other very popular television shows, creates an environment that's very female-friendly and very female-empowering. She is a woman of color. Apparently, Denzel was directing, and the actor in the scene with Ellen went off script a little bit, and Ellen, being in the moment, as actors do, went with that, kind of stayed off script a little bit, and said, the guy's speaking really quietly.
Something.
Well, no, she's like, the guy's like, the other actor is doing something really quiet, and then she says something in character that says, look at me when you're speaking.
Oh, right. That's what it was.
And then Denzel just like, instead of going through the rest of the scene and then cutting and then saying, okay, let's try it this way. Like a good director would.
Right. Get the line producer in, go over what the lines are actually, and redo it.
Or just, I like those choices, but let's try it. Let's stick to the script this time and see what happens. Or something.
Yeah.
Diplomatic. He goes, don't tell him what to say. You don't get to do that. I'm the director. And then she apparently was like, and you are who? This is my show, and you don't even know where the bathroom is. And
I believe she dropped an F-bomb in there too.
I'm sure she did. But here's the thing. Black Twitter came for her. Made it an entire racial thing where she just doesn't like a black man speaking to her like that.
Do they not understand that she's married to a black man, A? She has biracial children, B?
And she's an advocate for, civil rights. And the thing is, plenty of people said that, and that's not enough for some people. Some people are like, you can still be married to a black man and be a racist.
Well, Denzel's God. Well, here's my takeaway from it.
Go ahead. I have more.
My takeaway is how sexist that I love Denzel. Don't misunderstand me. And I feel like it was a big power grab for Shonda to get Denzel to direct an episode of Grey's Anatomy. Does he know the show? Has he read the Bible? Does he know? I don't know any of these things. But it sounds like to me a man coming in and telling a woman how it sounds really either sexist or just very. I am Denzel. How dare you go off script when I'm directing you? That's what it sounds like to me.
That's the thing. Apparently, and I've heard this more than once from friends who are servers, hotel concierges, and stuff like that.
But he's
a giant diva. A giant diva.
That makes me sad, but it doesn't surprise me.
And so, here's what I look at it as. I don't think this had anything to do with race at all. I think you've got a giant diva who is coming in for one episode on a show that he doesn't live on. You've got the most powerful person on the show that she does live on, and they're just pissing and circling around each other and trying to mark each other's territory, which, ladies and gentlemen, is just another Tuesday in Hollywood. So, I'm sorry.
Cursing drink.
Sorry, cuss drink. I just was like, this is not a race thing.
It's not a race thing.
Not
and
now.
Also, the whole, it all ends up too, is she's like, and we're fine now. We laughed about it.
Right?
We were fine 20 minutes later.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, we were fine for the rest of the day. Mm-hmm.
They just had their moment, and you've got two creatives who are extraordinarily emotional. Artists are just overly emotional all the time, and it's not uncommon for
if we were
two superstars to go at each other.
If we were two flies on the wall of any show that's shooting any day, like Darcy said, that's a Tuesday.
Yeah, just happens.
People are going to yell at each other. When you're creatives, there's tension. You're on a deadline. We have to break down the set at 8:30. It's now 6:30.
We're losing light.
We're losing light. It's magic hour.
Yeah.
People are gonna
Yeah.
It happens.
And at the end of the day, even though he's the director, he's still a guest there. As far as I'm concerned,
I agree.
He's still a guest. And so in my opinion, his attitude started the whole ball rolling.
And like you said, why did he not just let it play out?
Right, go ahead.
And then just say, all right, cut, and I appreciate what you did, but we're going to take it. And he can even be stronger, please don't go off script, this is how I direct, blah, blah, blah. Anything other than...
And in addition, though, she should have picked her battles. She should have, if he was like, don't do that, but she should have let it go and moved on, because he is the director.
Right. That's true, but we also don't know the circumstances.
I feel like they both were at fault based on what we on the outside are reading, but I just don't feel like it was a race thing at all.
It's not a race thing.
There are plenty of situations where there's systemic racism going on, and when you point it out, you go, oh, but this isn't it.
Yeah, and I feel like if people don't pick their battles, like you just said, and everything becomes a race thing, nothing's going to be a race thing. And it's going to, like when people call everybody a Hitler. Not everybody's a Hitler. Not everybody's a Nazi. If you keep calling everybody who she wouldn't let my kid have peanut butter in the class, she's such a Nazi. Well, not everybody's a Nazi, and you're taking away the importance of what an actual Nazi is.
Word.
Okay. Dang.
Moving on, and we're going to take some of this race discussion into our next discussion of Miss, God bless her, may she rest in peace, Miss Gabby Petito. The girl that was just found, and they're still looking for
person of interest, Brian Laundrie, her fiance, who drove back from.
Is it Laundrie or Laundrie?
Laundrie.
Do they pronounce it's spelled Laundrie? Well, I say Laundrie because he's dirty. He did it. He freaking did it.
Oh, he did. Okay, so I'll start the race thing on this.
Okay, go ahead.
Imagine, if you will, a world where it was either he was a black man, she was a white woman, or they were a black couple.
Lord.
Black couple who came back, and he came back with her car without her.
Yeah.
Would they let him stay at the family house for 6 days without bringing him in for questioning? Now, here's the thing. I watch a lot of police procedurals, and I'm not saying I'm an expert on this, but they have experts on the show.
Right.
And any of them, you can bring in somebody up to 8 hours for questioning without cause. You know that.
For no reason. And you could just let them sit there and be thirsty for 8 hours and do nothing about it.
Why was that man not brought in as soon as he returned in her car without her?
Without her.
Period.
Yeah.
And there's so many things about the parents going camping and not going camping, and the sister saying I didn't talk to him, and then she said, oh, I saw him twice. There are so many holes in this. It's freaking Swiss cheese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for me, it's just about, I haven't been as obsessed with all the details of the case that I believe you have, but the thing that struck me was this week, her dad got up in front of cameras, in front of a room full of press, and he did not have to do this. He is grieving the loss of his little girl, and says, there needs to be as much attention on all missing people, implying missing people of color, which we all know nobody freaking pays any attention to. And he actually pointed his finger at the room and said, and that is on you. He freaking called out the media for ignoring missing people of color. Because Gabby deserved the press, but so do, how many Native American women are missing?
1,200 in that same area that she was found, 1,200 unsolved cases of missing either Native American women, women of color, BIPOC, missing. Not a single one, there's even a case open. I mean, they're just...
It's ridiculous.
And
it's
Native
disgusting.
American women and Mexican women are disappearing at an alarming rate. Alarming, especially in border towns and on reservations, and nothing
because they know nobody will pay attention.
Nothing is being done about it.
Their family might know they're missing, but that's it, because that's as far as it's going to go. And that's despicable. We just have to do better. And the press has to do better. And when we say that, understanding that reporters might be onto a story and try to put a story in, but at the end of the day, the producer decides what goes to air, and they're answering to a boss, and they're answering to a boss.
Somebody was
the upstream needs.
Somebody
to
was
change.
fired because he wanted to put in a story in addition to in Florida, a popular newscaster. He wanted to put in like a 1-minute footnote onto his reporting of Gabby about missing women of color, and they refused. And he started to do it. They pulled him off the air and they fired him.
Where was this?
In Florida.
In Florida, of all places.
Yeah, where
Frickin' Florida, man.
So,
Not my favorite
who
place.
had dog? Who had dog on their bingo card helping the FBI find him, though?
That's the thing I posted on Facebook this week. Who knew that Britney Spears and Dog the Bounty Hunter would be the two people to unite America in 2021? Because everybody is on board with freeing Britney at this point, and everybody is rooting. Here's the deal. Dog the Bounty Hunter got a tip from I don't know where about Laundrie's whereabouts. And
that
now
he's on some island off the coast of Florida,
something like that. And now all social media is rooting for him to find the guy before the FBI does. And I'm just like, everybody's like, yeah, get him. So I'm just like, oh my
he's
God.
narrowed it down, I think, to this island, and
Yeah.
he hired a plane
Yes.
to go back and forth.
What does it say? The plane said something like, oh shoot, what did it say?
We'll find
I'll post
it.
the
We'll
picture.
post the
Something
picture.
like, hey, is his name Brian?
Brian.
Laundrie?
Hey, Brian.
Brian. See you soon. Love
yeah,
dog. Or
something like that. See you soon.
Yeah, I'm like, man, the guy's great at what he does. If you've ever
Absolutely.
watched that show, I
used to
binging on
watch it.
it.
Yeah, me too.
Years before binging was a thing. It was like on A&E playing over and over like a 24-hour marathon.
Right.
I just couldn't go to bed.
I used to watch it too. My mom and I used to watch it together, and she's
Yeah.
just like, "Oh my God."
He knows what he's doing, that guy. He knows what he's doing. And I'm like, I hope he finds
And
it.
one of the things I always used to like about that is most of the times he really tries to help the person.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's get you cleaned up. That's where I learned.
He never comes from a you piece of crap place. You
No,
know what I mean?
until
always
until it's like the fourth or fifth time he's going after
Right.
the same guy. But that's the first time I ever realized what a bad drug problem Hawaii had.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I never knew until and now
I didn't know till
yeah.
I saw that either. Yeah, it's very. My sister's
going all over
ex-boyfriend.
the
I know we're
place.
just all over the place today. My sister's ex-boyfriend worked there for a long time, and he was like, "It's not
But the
a paradise.
beautiful
It's not the
coconut
paradise everybody
island you
thinks
think it is.
Yeah, he said there are a lot of very, sadly, uneducated people there, and a lot of poverty.
Well, if your whole life has been like if you're on a small island, your whole
Yeah.
life is in a 26-mile radius of everything,
Yeah.
you know. Anyway, that's
Anyway,
Hawaii.
we'll have a Hawaii show
Or not.
or not.
Okay, so what are we gonna end? What are we gonna finish with?
Things we love.
And we both have pretty
the
much the same thing.
You know, new shows have come out this week. And by the way, really quick note, I watched La Brea, which I expected to be horrible and stupid.
Everybody's saying it's so wackadoodle.
It's
Did you like it?
wackadoodle, but I enjoyed it. But
I'm
also,
okay with that.
I'm in love with Natalie Z, the actress. Look her out. She was on, the first time I ever saw her was on Sexy Dirty Money, which was a show that I was very disappointed got canceled several years ago, but with Donald Sutherland. But anyway, I love her as an actor, and she's in this. And then John Seda from Chicago PD is also in this. And so I was like, all right, I like these actors, I'll watch it. And so it is wackadoodle. It's the new Manifest, which ABC has been trying to do Lost over and over and over again. So this is their latest attempt. But it was fun, and I liked it, and I think it's kind of interesting. How are they going to make this, how are they going to get back to each other kind of thing.
All right, I'll try it.
I just wanted to bring that up because we briefly talked about maybe talking about new shows that we like. But what we're both really psyched about is
Law and Order's coming back, like the real Law and
the
Order.
original one. I guess it was, I didn't realize because I didn't watch Law and Order. I've not missed an episode of SVU, but I here and there watched the original Law and Order.
Oh yeah,
But I guess the cancellation was just pretty abrupt. Like
and it was kind of like we're done, and you know Jerry Orbach died, and like I feel like Sam Waterston at that point was like okay, and it wasn't like a pull the rug out from under you. I think they all knew, but yeah, it was like oh that's done.
Yeah.
I mean it ran for 87 years before,
20
but it's coming
seasons.
back. And well, in my world, that's 87 years. It's 87 years in Kel years. And Sam Waterston's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited that he's coming back.
That's what's fun about that. To
He's
me,
one of my crushes.
is that they're not really trying to reboot it. They're just
gonna continue
bringing it
where-
back.
Oh.
And here's the thing, though, I got laughing so hard because Dick Wolf needs to just own NBC at this point because he's got All Night Wednesday, Chicago Med, Fire and PD, and now he's going to have eventually Law and Order, SVU, and Organized Crime.
And I'm here for all of them.
And I'm partially mad at myself because I'm like, this guy's got 15 houses all over the world, and that's a little disgusting. But at the same time, I'm like, when you make good shows,
So a little side note, I was talking to a guy online, the international symbol, and he said, I promise you I won't send you any unsolicited dick pics except for this one. And he sent me a picture of Dick Wolf. And I'm like, I need to marry this guy right now.
Was that on one of your dating sites?
Yeah, it was. And it was years ago, and I didn't marry him, clearly. But I thought that was the funniest / hottest thing ever. Of all the dicks, like, I've had somebody send me Dick Van Dyke. I've had somebody send me, but Dick Wolf, because he knew how much I loved SVU. So, yes. I'm so excited. I'm excited
too. I don't think it'll come out till after the new year, but still, I will just be in my little heaven with my #1 Chicago night, my #1 New York night. I'm just like, I don't have to, I'll just leave me alone and watch TV.
See, I only do Chicago Med. I think I have to catch up on, or the crossovers I haven't done.
You must watch Fire.
Okay.
That was the first one of the Chicago shows, and in my opinion, has the most heart.
Okay.
It's very uplifting in lots of ways. It's also nail biting, of course, because it made me really appreciate what firefighters freaking do.
Right.
And how much they have to learn and their skill set, particularly the rescue teams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some firefighters are also EMTs, some are not, some are, it's just really interesting.
I do watch the Lone Star 911, so that kind of tells you a lot of that too.
Yeah, I watch 911. Oh my God. That show is such a freaking train wreck, and I love it.
See, I don't watch that one. I watch the Rob Lowe one. I'm always famous for getting the knockoffs. Anyway, those are the things we love. We have rambled on. We had so much to talk about. Please comment below. What are some shows you're excited about? What are you watching now?
What should we check out this season?
Yes.
Want to know that.
So, hey, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us this long. If you have. Stay safe. Stay sane.
And healthy and hopeful.
We love you.
Cheers, Thingies.